And thank you very much, Naomi, for doing that. Now I can listen back to my notes and grab what I missed. Okay. Do you have any guests on this that aren't supposed to be here? I don't see any. Patty, Naomi, Virginia, thank you for joining us. All right, so no guests. I know that Ted wanted to join us, but he is not a guest. I was reminded that as a DG, he is a member of every committee. So I apologize for that. I will move him into that category. Thank you, Naomi.
He's hanging out with the Kona Club members right now. So that's why he's not on the call.
So he's out there trying to make sure that they increase their annual giving goals and quotas, because I've been to a couple of his meetings and he's doing a wonderful job of making sure that the foundation numbers are being recognized and that clubs are actually putting in what would be a fair number for their goals and objectives. Not saying that they all will accept that, but he is making that push, so I appreciate that. All right, so I'll go ahead and want to open up the approval for the minutes from last year, last July 17th, 2024. That's a correction in the agenda, but not a correction in the minutes. The minutes were 2024. So has anybody got any other corrections on the minutes from July 17th? Hearing none, do I have somebody that want to move for approval of the minutes?
Move to approve.
A second?
Second.
I'll second.
I can't have both people do the approval in the second. That kind of goes against Roberts.
Nobody said anything.
Roz approved. I seconded it. We're good.
Okay, I got it. We're good. Any discussion? Any objections? All approved?
Approved.
Thank you. Move that the minutes are approved. I'll do a better job of trying to catch it. I wasn't able to get the recording because when I did record it, it went under Del Green's files. So I'm sure he's able to look at it, but I can't pull it up. So we're on the right Zoom meeting. So hopefully that will get taken care of. I want to mention, just as a start off, since it's my spot, that I did look at the reports for 2024-25, and we have as an annual fund goal set by our clubs of $223,740. So that's great for annual giving, and that we are year to date at $39,405. We had a generous donation from Rich Zegar, all the way from Florida, for $10,000. So he started it off with a nice chunk of change. We only have 3 clubs and 2 Rotaract clubs that have not made any goal. So we're really doing well, folks. We've got almost 100% of our clubs putting in a goal. Now, granted, there's a couple of clubs that have got a goal of $100 and they're already at $250. So, that's part of our job, is to go out there and talk to them and see about maybe increasing those goals a little bit, because it doesn't harm them to increase it, and maybe show a track record of what they've been doing. So the ones that are on that list are Diamond Head, Hawaii Kai, and Kapolei Sunset. And I thought, Naomi, some of those were supposed to be cut off, or did they decide to stay on?
Kapolei Sunset is closed. On our website, Hawaii Kai is off, but it's still on the Rotary website with 1 member. Diamond Head, I'm told that they are closing, so that one should be gone pretty soon because they're not paying their dues.
But they're all still on the foundation reports, all of them.
Yes. But Kapolei Sunset is officially closed, so it's not on the Rotary website though. Kapolei Sunset.
Yeah, so it's still showing up on their report.
Yep.
It is on the report, yeah.
For Rotary Club Central, it shows that 53 of 53 clubs have goals. So I sent an email to support at Rotary to ask them how come the analysis is showing 96% when all of the clubs have their goals in. The 2 Rotaract clubs have their goals in Rotary Club Central. It's only $50, but they do have their goals. Everybody has their goals in. So I'm not sure why the report is not showing 100%.
Okay, I'll check that again to see if maybe it's just a matter of a buffer time because they may have said it and it didn't get put on the last report.
Well, no, they said it a month ago. So that's why I said I waited to see if it was a timing thing.
Yeah.
But it's not. So something is wrong with the Rotary's system. I think they're not capturing the Rotaract numbers.
Got it. Well, it's interesting. Most of you probably already received something about the Rotaract Giving Certificate. I didn't know there was such an award, but there is a giving certificate that is given out to Rotaract clubs that give $100 or more to the foundation, and it's showing that one of our 2 clubs did give that, and they are getting a certificate, which will be great to recognize them and make sure that we are trying to get the other clubs to do the same thing. So, but the dollar amount that the foundations gave for the 880 Rotaract clubs was $391,000. So that's a nice chunk of change. Now that we're counting Rotaract clubs into this group, it's going to help our foundation numbers and increase that. Since it started in 2019, it's been about $830,000. So it looks like we're getting a lot of money across the world from Rotaract clubs that are doing their own fundraising for the foundation. So that's great news because it's all money that's going back into doing wonderful projects and works within the community and within our country and our world. So we'll keep up that good work and recognize those clubs that have been recognized with that certificate so that they get their just dessert. I'm looking at my other notes and I don't have anything else that I want to share, but I want to also ask Dave if he's got anything he wants to go ahead and discuss.
Yeah, thank you, Dave, and aloha, everybody. Well, first of all, this is my 4th Rotary meeting in a row today, so if I'm becoming garbled and incomprehensible, you'll understand why. I don't have a whole lot really to report. I know that James sent in a written report. I could go over that now if you'd like, Dave, or I could hold off.
Yeah, we'll hold that off until his report, and then you can just go ahead and regale that.
Okay, and of course, Patty and Naomi are going to have some updates for us on the district grants. But the one thing I would like to talk about just briefly is I think I'm going to implement a system where for the global grants, I'd like to have a master spreadsheet so that we understand clubs that are committing funds, say this Rotary year, but then they don't actually get funded until the following Rotary year. And so I know there's a form that each club fills out, and I just think it would be good to have a master list of all of those commitments. So year to year, we know who's made the commitments. We just talked about clubs that are closing. I sure hope that they didn't have any commitments outstanding for any global grants, because I think we won't get any money at this point from them.
We do have a master spreadsheet that we've been using ever since Mark Harbison was around, and James and Arjun have access to that spreadsheet.
Okay, all right, thank you. No,
Yeah, I think if you can get a hold of that one, and we can basically work from that and see if that answers all of your needs. If not, we can go ahead and see if there's any desire to make adjustments to make that a better tool. I would like to see a copy of that too, because I don't have it handy.
Yeah, I didn't know that existed. I talked to James and he said they were doing paper records, but if there's an electronic spreadsheet somewhere, that's great. I'm happy to take a look at that and keep using it. That's all that I really had for today, Dave.
Thank you very much. Good.
Yeah,
point.
well, David squared. Arjun I think he's joined us, so he's working with James. So they would probably be the lead on putting that tool together. And so it may exist. It may require some data harvesting from the Rotary website. But Arjun, are you?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Now let me share.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and then James also has access actually. So maybe James, myself, and Dave, we talk this offline, and I also need to update. I was gone for several months. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. We'll talk about that more on the international side, but I agree with that. I think it's great to have access to a consolidated list of all of the grants that are out there, and if that's available, that's fabulous. And I apologize that I didn't know that was available. So good news. All right. Dick May is not going to be able to make it today because he's also on his way back from Papua New Guinea. I don't think he's flying first class, but he's probably got a private Air Force jet that's taking him home. Anyway, I'm sure he's going to have some stories to share, but I asked Virginia to be one of our first spotlight people. And if you know, last time we met, I asked if we could get everybody to be kind of a spotlight individual for their particular area and to give them a little bit more time of focus so that we can have everybody get a chance during the year to kind of talk about their particular area of expertise and what they're working on. And we had some great discussions, Virginia and I, as well as Dick May with Virginia, and the Paul Harris Society is well on its way of improving and getting stronger. And I'll turn it over to Virginia to go ahead and share her story.
Thank you, David. I appreciate all of your time, and Dick's as well. I prepared a written report, and I'm just going to refer to that. And if anyone would like to have a copy of it, just let me know. But I compiled some data from the July report. It probably doesn't reflect everything we know at the end of the Rotary year, but I think it's good enough for some summary data. So out of 100 members who donated $1,000 or more in 2023-24, 57 of them, though they were eligible to become Paul Harris Society members, have not yet joined the Paul Harris Society. 21 clubs in the district have no Paul Harris Society members at all. 761 members made no donation to the Rotary Foundation in 2023-24, and that included 17 people who were major donors, which means they became major donors before this past Rotary year and made no donation to the Rotary Foundation at that time point. One of the things that I discovered is that there is a positive relationship between Paul Harris Society members and major donors, which means that those people who are donating $1,000 a year, it adds up and they become our major donors. Lastly, few District 5000 members take advantage of Rotary Direct, which is a prime vehicle for people to donate $1,000 a year using Rotary Direct at $84 a month, which is actually less than it costs for my husband and I to go out to dinner these days. So I would suggest from the data that if we had more members that used Rotary Direct, it would result in more donations to the Rotary Foundation, including an increase in Paul Harris Society members and major donors. I further suggest that greater knowledge of the work of the Rotary Foundation through speakers at meetings and presentations to club leaders would increase Paul Harris Society membership and donations to the Rotary Foundation. And finally, I surmised that there is a need for District 5,000 Rotarians to understand that the Paul Harris Society is a group of engaged Rotary leaders who recognize the value of donating $1,000 per year to further the goals of Rotary International. And their prime interest is in progress and learning how the 7 areas of focus are being addressed. Our Paul Harris Society members do not do
I know
this.
Charlotte because she's with my family. Yeah.
Sorry,
I
yeah.
know, and she loves it. You know,
Hey, Nancy, I think you have a hot mic.
Oh, okay, sorry, I'll get it down. Sorry.
So,
Thanks, Dan.
as I was saying, I think the prime interest of Paul Harris Society members is more in the area of learning how the money is being used and how we're making progress, and much less in recognition activities. Goals for the coming year, the year that we're in, would be to send a personal invitation to non-Paul Harris Society members who contributed $1,000 in 1 year, and invite them to become Paul Harris Society members. Also to prepare a synopsis of the Paul Harris Society information that can be used in presentations, perhaps a PowerPoint for clubs. Next, to make sure that club presidents and their foundation chairs know how to order free Paul Harris Society chevrons to present to new Paul Harris Society members. Other than new members in my club, I have never seen a Rotarian wearing a Paul Harris Society chevron at a function on their Paul Harris pins. That's just me. It's not that they're not doing it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, Virginia, I wear mine with each arm, but if anybody needs a chevron, before Rotary was providing those, I bought like 200 of them for the district. So I've got plenty of chevrons for people that need it. And if you want, I can send them to you.
Well,
I probably got about 52.
we can talk about that. We
Yeah,
can talk
okay.
about that. The next goal on my list was to make sure that club presidents and their foundation chairs know how to access the Paul Harris Society chevrons and how to present them to new members, and to prepare a list of individuals who can present on the Paul Harris Society and will accept invitations from clubs to conduct a presentation, because that's just a powerful vehicle to recruit new members. And some of those new members are already contributing a lot of money to the Rotary Foundation. 2 more, to add a special Zoom training session on the Rotary Foundation, highlighting the Paul Harris Society and why Rotarians join the Paul Harris Society. It's just a personal opinion that the foundation needs more time during Zoom trainings, and I think it needs a separate Zoom instead of being added to a lot of other things. It's really hard, particularly for new leaders, to absorb all of this in a Zoom session. Lastly, to include during the District 5000 conference, a keynote speaker who can inspire Rotarians to become members of the Paul Harris Society. And I won't elaborate on that right now, but I also have for club presentations, well, you can't see this, but I can certainly send it. For my club, I created a pamphlet to promote the Rotary Foundation that connected the Rotary Foundation, not in terms of recognition, but in terms of how the Rotary Foundation connects with every aspect of Rotary clubs, and that on the Rotary website, the effective elements of a Rotary club, the fourth element on RI's list is the Rotary Foundation. So, and a lot of people don't quite understand where the foundation fits in an effective Rotary club. And so I'm happy to share anything I have and to answer any questions. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Virginia, thank you very much. All right. We need to move on, but please reach out to Virginia if you have any questions or want to add to her conversations. But thank you, Virginia. I appreciate the comprehensive feedback. Paul Jerzak, I know that we kind of talked a little bit about the Paul Harris Society. There are some that we got to catch. Paul
The
Harris
White Hat Society, yeah.
White Hat Society, and there are some that we need to catch up on from last year. And I don't know if you have any updates on that.
No, I got your email, and some of those you had sent me a few months prior a similar spreadsheet. I don't have access to that spreadsheet, or at least I don't know how to get access to it because I don't have access to what people have to get. I want to just point out the White Hat Society, though it raises a butt ton of money, like over $5-6 million so far, but it is not an official recognition program of Rotary, but it has served its purpose very well, and particularly in District 5000. But I don't know who qualifies unless someone lets me know. You know, like Rich Ziegart, he'll just give money, and I know when he does because he's in my club. Dick May, same thing. And then there's other, like, you know, Mark Merriam, we owe him a white hat. There's some other ones. Nancy, I probably owe her another concho. But I appreciate you giving me that spreadsheet. So I will go through that and just encourage all, you know, club foundation chairs, if they know one of their members has given or actually given that money during the Rotary year, let them connect them with me so I can buy the hat. Because District 5000, I talked to Ed Mullen. We are the only district that actually gives them a white hat. Other districts give them the certificate, they give them the pin. I think as far as he knows, we are the only district that actually gives a white hat. So that's pretty special for us. And, you know, Rich Ziegart started that when he was the white hat chair, and I'm continuing that because I think our district is very special in that regard. And so, yeah, I'll work on that with you, Dave, and we'll make sure everyone who has achieved that gets recognized. And then I would encourage from the district level, we really don't know who we can push to get in that. We have to get a better connection with the individual club foundation chairs because they know their members, and this is a pretty significant commitment. So you don't want to push everybody to give, you know, to become a member. Because I remember when I became a member, it hurt, but it was worth it.
Yeah, Paul, that report that we get is from Rotary, but it's not available to the general public, and it is a cash report. So we can get that for you on a quarterly basis, and we'll use that to make sure that you get that report so that you can go forward with that.
Okay, that would be cool, because then I could interface with the clubs and actually get the hardest part of all things is trying to get somebody's hat size. We'll get her done.
All right, thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Good work. All right, Rick,
David,
yes.
just at an appropriate point, would you just mention Triple Crown? Because that's
we'll talk about that, but I want to make sure we get through everybody else's speaking. We can also talk. I can also put that in the minutes and throw that in there. Rick, you want to talk about the endowment? You know, one of the things I saw on that report, Rick, was that we received a $100,000 endowment from is it Ron Mabley? And so that's fabulous, and that's the large dollar amount that I think we were looking at, and it's showing up on the record. So we're on our way to that that $1 million.
Absolutely. Yeah, Ron and Sandy are working towards an arch clump. I believe it was 50,000 last year, 100,000 this year, and then a couple more of 50,000. and they're actually going to the ceremony in the fall, the spring of next year, and being recognized then. Really, I haven't gotten much more information than that. The one thing I will say is I sent out a document to everyone after the last call with the steps of how to do online giving through the RI site. I got a few bits of feedback on it. I've incorporated those. I've made those changes. I also created another document that I'll send out that is just the basic one of how the heck do I create a My Rotary account? Because a lot of people don't even have those. So I'll get those out and eventually I'll get those to the webmaster so that they can go on the website. But other than that, I've got nothing.
Oh, you've got lots. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Sure.
I'm gonna tap you because I'm also asking if you'd be willing to spearhead the foundation dinner for Kauai.
Of course, yeah.
Fabulous. I got that information from a birdie that I should reach out to you. So one of my goals, folks, is to see if we can ascertain or basically come up with an individual from every island that is willing to be the spearhead chairperson for the endowment dinner so that we can take ownership of that and get that started right away. So if you've got any ideas for Big Island, for Kauai, for Maui, let me know of who you might think that would be good for that. We can take that offline. We don't need to discuss that today, but I'll put that in the minutes that we discussed it, and I'll reach out to individuals, or they can call me and let me know who I should possibly talk to, and we can get that moving and going forward. All right.
Yeah.
Roz, Polio Plus.
Okay. Looking at our goal that we've established on the fundraising analysis spreadsheet, it says that we're looking at 56,653. So I think that's your goal, David. Is it? But that's what's showing up. And right now, it looks like we have 29 non-giving clubs, but on the report that I have, it still has those clubs who are no longer a member of District 5000. So I'm going to go through and scrub all of that. I would be sending out individual invitations to the all of the clubs in the district, reminding them about their goals and reaching their goals and giving them a timeline along the way that they can say, okay, it's been 3 months or it's been 6 months and I should be at this point, and kind of work with them to see that they all make their goals this year. So this year we are striving for 100% of Polio Plus members, clubs. And I'm also looking at maybe a good percentage of that for 100% Polio Plus Society member clubs. So I'm working with that. We do have a banner we can give if we're going to give awards, a banner that we can give when these clubs hit these goals so that they can really be proud of it and display it at their club members, at their club meetings. And that's about it. I've got a lot of work to do and I'm ready for it.
Thanks, Roz. Welcome back. I do want to sit down with you and discuss the possibility of that, the magic of Rotary for polio, a fundraiser or an event that we could do that I got an idea on. I think we talked about that last year, and I think it'd be a lot of fun for Oahu. Let's get together and talk about that.
And I did look at some of that on the computer that I had on the plane when I was traveling. I did make some suggestions and some suggestions that we could use in doing the magic of Rotary, tying it all together so that it comes out at the end of the year. Maybe the poof goes up and we have really what we want and more.
Great.
Well, maybe the magic of Rotary will deliver your laptop back to you, which would be all good.
Thank you. I'm really hoping that will happen. The right one.
All right, Arjun, I'm glad you were able to join us. Thank you very much. I know that you were traveling in a busy schedule, but I did give Dave Hamill the approval to go ahead and share James's comments. But I think if you're available to talk about that as an update for the global grants, that would be great coming from you.
Sure. Thank you, Dave. And you're right. I was gone for several months and I just moved to a new place and finally found a place in a garage to set up a computer. So, but as you mentioned, I already started. First thing I did access to the global grants, and Thank you, Dave, for that. What that means is I don't have all the list as of now, but the global grant is the rolling process. It's not like a final one deadline thing. So even this year, we've been working on grants that was approved 2 years ago. For example, Vietnam, we have trip coming soon in weeks. And from last year, there are a couple of grants. From last year, PNG got returned from the grant center. They reviewed and they made suggested some changes. And James already worked on it and submitted. So talking about 2 years ago, one of the things is I don't have the real update, but the Fiji, it's been very, very long and we haven't, not sure. I won't be surprised if they cancel anytime soon because we really have to add that, but I'll talk to Naomi offline about that. And from this year, we know Mexico, James is working on Mexico. Probably there is going to be one in Nepal, and then the priority is going to be in Maui. Yes. And so this Saturday, James sent email. So there is going to be a global the same district learning thing, global grant seminar. So James will be presenting, but I will be there too. So please send the information to clubs, and hopefully we'll have more people, particularly those who are thinking about doing global grants. And then we'll have a grant fair. The date is top of my head, but we will prepare and work on that. So that's the way we will list all the grants and talk about all the deadlines and process.
Great.
That's all I have, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All right. Thanks, Arjun. Appreciate that. Somebody else have something to say, or is that a background? All right. Patty, want to give us any updates on district grants and qualifications as well as the final reports? I know you were working hard with Naomi on that.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. And once again, I want to acknowledge and thank Naomi for all of her instruction and direction. Our district grant request was approved and funded. So money was put into our account, about $69,850. And so we sent out an email asking for bank account information so we could make the direct deposits of the grant checks into the grant accounts for each club. We're going to cut checks for, I believe, 19 clubs and deposit those funds into their accounts. We're waiting for the information to come across. So 19 we have the information that allows us to make the deposit. So we'll do that this week, probably tomorrow, and we'll keep going.
So it looks like we have a significant number of clubs that still don't qualify or have not given that information to be able to be released their funds.
Yeah, and the information it's not just information, but it's actually depositing, proof of depositing grant funds into the grant account too.
Okay, great. And is that a list that you can send me a copy of so that we can make sure that our individual clubs are all being taken care of, as well as helping out any of those other clubs that may be slipping?
Sure. Yes.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I know my club has been slipping lately, and I want to make sure we don't have that problem.
I think you're okay.
All right. Thanks. All right. Thank you very much, Patty, for your assistance in that. I know it's a lot of work. Is Steve Dyer on? I know he said he was going to join us around 6 o'clock.
Yes, I'm here. How you doing, Dave?
Steve, thank you. I didn't see you jump in. Any updates or things that you're planning on doing for the Rotary Foundation alumni?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Just a couple of months ago, we had our annual get-together, alumni get-together. It was very well attended. And it should be noted, Naomi did a lot of the work in putting that together. So thank you, Naomi. And I hope you're in for it this year too, Naomi. We don't have that set up yet for this year, but we'll be doing it probably in the spring. That seems to be the best time. If any president wants a speaker, an alumnus or alumna of the foundation, we have a speaker bureau that's available. Naomi, you got anything else?
Well, we did send a list of alumni to Rick on Kauai, Wendy Hornack on Maui, and Connie Ichinose on the Big Island for them to try and contact the alum on their island. So hopefully they'll get some new members from those lists.
Great. All right. Thanks, Steve. Look forward to it. Hopefully I can make this event this spring. I missed the last one. I apologize.
It was at Aloha Beer, Dave, so I think that would be good motivation for you.
It always is. Alcohol always seems to help spur that on. And I didn't say that, did I? Okay. Rotary Peace Fellows, Alan, are you on the call? I didn't get a RSVP that he was going to join us or not. So unless he's having difficulty.
Yeah, I thought he sent an RSVP that he would not be able to, but that might just been me.
I missed that one. I apologize. Thank you. So I'll talk to him individually and see if we can catch him and maybe give him a spotlight time to talk about the Rotary Peace Fellows and all that they're planning on doing for the peace work that they've done already and they're looking at doing in 2024-25. Laura, anything on your side?
Well, on the stewardship side, Patty and Naomi have been working on the qualifications as well as the district grants and getting the money all out to the clubs. And so that's an ongoing process to make sure that we can try to get as much money to as many clubs as possible. The good news on the stewardship side is that I've not gotten any calls that anybody has absconded with money and run off to the other side of the world. So that's always a positive.
That's good. No Bernie Madoffs. All right. And is Ron still part of the staff that works with you? Ron Young?
Yes, I'm sorry. Whoops. I've muted myself again. Whoop. Somehow.
Is there anybody else in your committee that besides Ron that's involved with that?
I'm sorry. Ron has an entire group of auditors who work with him. And I think he has most of the same ones. He was working on getting a couple of new ones the last time I talked to him, but that was a couple of months ago when he was finishing the audits from last year. So working on the audits from last year. But he has his entire staff and he has said he will continue it one more year, but absolutely only one more year. But he has said that for the last 4 years. So we'll keep the thought.
All right. Keep good thoughts. Ron is a special place in my heart because he was the district governor when our club was founded. So he was our district governor when our club started. So it's always great to see him. All right. TRF training, Naomi.
I'd like to add with Ron, I did give him the list of all of the grants and the dollar amounts per club so he can pick out who he's going to audit. We did send to the clubs the list of what he's going to be asking for and give them fair warning that if one of the auditors calls that they need to respond quickly. I did give him the list of the presidents for last year so he knows who to contact. He is looking for a new auditor, so I did give him a list of 6 names for auditors. And I reminded him that he does need to finish the audits by the end of September. So he's working on that. Okay. Wanted to add for Alan, we are going to be meeting with returning Peace Corps workers in about 2 weeks. Caroline McKenzie from the Kaneohe Club is helping to assist with that. And we're looking to get a group of returning Peace Corps workers so that we can ask them for some identifying international service projects, not necessarily global. We also want to ask them to help with maybe hosting youth exchange students, and also look for opportunities to do the friendship exchange, the virtual friendship exchanges with the countries that they have been in. So that's what we're working with. Nancy was very interested in getting the Peace Corps, returning Peace Corps workers together, because there is a big group of returning Peace Corps workers on the Big Island. I heard there were like 200 on the Big Island, because they have the training center on the Big Island. So that's one thing that we want to try. Alan's been trying to get them to form a club, but they're not interested. But at least we can help get them together and get some ideas for international service projects, because they're out in the field. They know people in other countries. So I wanted to talk about that. So for training, this Saturday, James and Arjun are ready to go on international service, and they're going to be talking about, what people need to do to think about global grants and international service. So that's the planting the seed, and hopefully anybody who is thinking of one will come up and surface at that meeting. September 28th is when we're meeting with the foundation chairs from the clubs, and this is where we can give them hints on how to promote foundation in their clubs. I was just asked 2 days ago for information, a PowerPoint, so Kahului Club could present that at their club. And then I think that's what we should do, is to give the clubs a template of PowerPoint so they can do the presentation in their club in November. So October 12th is a project fair for global grants, Arjun. October 26th is the grant, fair, so we can really look at getting the pledges in for November 1st, and November 1st is the deadline. So lots of training coming up. We do, Virginia, have a dedicated Zoom only for foundation, and this is where we would get all of you to take a portion of that and really give that information to the club chairs so that they can plan for their own clubs. And then we'll have a dedicated foundation Zoom for the district members so that they can learn about all the different things for foundation. Wanted to let you know that the DGEs are being trained at Education Weekend at Institute in Spokane, and they're being asked about how to recognize donors, new donors, how they can reach out to other donors for foundation, how to inspire other clubs to do global grants and international service projects. So it is being taught at the DGE level. And so that's where we need to work with the DGE and DG about how they can have this information come out of their mouth, because if the DG says this is important, then clubs will listen, hopefully. So I think working with DG and DGE and DGN too is really important. Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much. A lot on a full docket. We have a full docket. Thank you, Naomi, for all of that. All right, any unfinished business?
Could I ask Naomi just to repeat the date for the pledges are due, the date, that October date?
The global grant pledge is due November 1st.
But there was something at the end of October after the project fair?
October 26th, we're going over we're going to try and get all of the pledges in. So going over the grants that are available to pledge
fair,
to.
right?
Got it.
Okay. Great. For new business, one of the things that, okay, I'm sorry, Laura, go ahead.
No, it's just a silly grant question. On the global grants, is it possible to find out what the unfulfilled as far for a single club like East Honolulu, what are the global grant commitments that we have made that are out there, because our club has lost track of them, and we want to make sure they're in the dollars are in the budget.
In the
Yeah.
past, at the end of the year, Mark Harbison would send out a message to the clubs that pledged, but the grant didn't go yet, to just remind them that they need to keep that in their budget. And so Arjun and I can go through and see what we have still hanging around and get those emails out to remind the clubs to make sure they have that money when the grant is ready to be funded.
Hate to ask you, but I think clubs need, some of the clubs need that. I know ours does. Right, thanks.
All right, good
You
point.
know, and
Thank you.
that really is
Thanks,
the guy
Lauren.
who's the club that is the lead, you know, either the international partner or the lead club really should be managing that. But you're right. You got to remind people. If you don't remind them, they're going to forget. And then all of a sudden they're going to go, oh my God, I got to scramble for money. So yeah, I totally agree. You got to get that out there and keep reminding them.
Yeah, and I understand, Laura, that your club might be supporting more than one global grant. And when you do that, then you're getting emails and communications from multiple clubs or multiple global grant host clubs or international clubs that are sponsoring those things to basically give you information. It's hard to keep track of that. So
The travel schedules that some of our members have had, we're not totally sure who the communications are going to right at the moment. So
got it.
Yeah, and part of the problem is the way that's structured, because you know it's not like a district grant where you're going to do it this year. So when you spread it out, that just adds to a little bit of management problem. But we'll get her done. We're District 5000. We'll take care of it.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. That was Paul, right?
That was I.
Thank you. Don't have all the pictures showing on my little screen, so that's going to get fixed. All right. As far as the new business, one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we've got that listed, documented, is that we are going to be aggressively looking at trying to get somebody to be the sponsor or the chairperson for each Neighbor Island Foundation event. So I'll start making those phone calls, reaching out to people, talking to them and seeing about what we can do, and then what type of speakers. I did get a call from Grace, Shirley Grace. I'm sorry, Shirley Grace did call me, and we spoke yesterday, and she is already signed up for our district conference. So she did say she's available if anybody wants to have her as a foundation speaker for their island. We might be able to utilize that, but it's going to have to coincide with her travel times. But she is planning and has already booked her time to be with us for that district conference. So that's great.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Sorry, wanted to let everybody know that there's going to be some changes to the goals. So Rotary Club Central right now has 25 goals that the clubs need to put in. They're going to be cutting it down to 6. And so the information should be coming out in October, November, and it's going to be a rolling 3 years goals. So they're going to be talking to the AGs next month. DGs are going to get that information on how that's going to work. So the clubs need to work together with the incoming presidents to set those goals. So of course, foundation is one of those goals that's going to stay. So I did ask if we set those goals now in the current Rotary Club Central, are those numbers going to carry forward in the new Rotary Club Central? And they said it should. So we'll see if it does.
That's going to be an interesting proposal. I can see some good in that, and I also can see some issues. But all right. Anything else on new business? All right. The next foundation committee meeting will be a Wednesday, September 18th. It's also at 5:30, so I'll send that out earlier with I apologize, I was on the mainland for 3 weeks, so I had some issues with my PC, and so I wasn't able to complete things until I returned. But I will go ahead and get those minutes out in the agenda early for that so that people can plan accordingly. And I just want to say thank you all for your hard work and efforts in making this a very fruitful committee. and one that does so much for not only our district, but for the people that we help out there in the local community as well as internationally. So thank you very much. Virginia, thank you for your efforts on the Paul Harris Society. I know that's a lot of work to go through all those reports, and I appreciate you being our first spotlight speaker. So I will be reaching out to others to see if I can get them to be the spotlight speaker for the next meetings and give them 5 or 10 minutes to go ahead and feature them at the next conference committee meeting. Well, it's 6:22. No one's ever gotten fired for quitting early, but unless there's any objections, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting and say adieu. Thank you very much, everybody.
Aloha.
Thank you all. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your
Okay,
evening.
Everyone.
Crack a beer
Out
or
here.
open up a bottle of wine and have some fun.